The morning sun cast long shadows on the forest floor, dappling the path with golden light. Birds sang softly in the distance. Disciples gathered around the Buddha, their robes rustling like whispers in the breeze. The Buddha looked at each face, his gaze calm and knowing. "Today, my dear disciples," the Buddha began, "we shall embark on a mindful journey together." The disciples looked at one another, curious about the Buddha's intentions. He gestured for them to rise, his movement fluid and deliberate. "Walking," the Buddha said, "is not merely a means to an end. It is a practice, a teaching." The group began to walk, their steps echoing faintly in the stillness of the forest. "But Master," he asked, "how can truth, which is pure, threaten the self?" The Buddha gestured to a pond nearby, its surface shimmering in the sunlight. "Sutta," he said, "observe this pond. Feel each step," the Buddha said, his voice like a flowing stream. "Feel the connection between your feet and the earth." Ananda, walking just behind the Buddha, asked, "Master, how can something as simple as walking bring us closer to enlightenment?" The Buddha turned his head slightly, his eyes soft but intent. "Ananda," he said, "walking mindfully is a way to understand the impermanence of all things. Observe your steps." The group continued, their footsteps forming a gentle cadence that harmonized with the rustling leaves. "When you walk with awareness," the Buddha continued, "you anchor yourself in the present moment. The past and future fade away." The path led them to a grove where sunlight filtered through a canopy of leaves, casting intricate patterns on the ground. The disciples paused, entranced by the beauty surrounding them. The Buddha stopped and turned to face them. "This moment," he said, "is all we have. Walking reveals this truth if you let it." Subhuti stepped forward, his expression thoughtful. "Master," he asked, "what if our minds wander as we walk? How do we stay present?" The Buddha smiled gently, his expression free of judgment. "When the mind wanders, acknowledge it," he said. "Then, return your focus to the rhythm of your steps." The disciples nodded, their faces reflecting a mixture of understanding and contemplation. They resumed walking, their footsteps blending into a unified rhythm. "Life is like this path," the Buddha said. "Each step shapes the journey, yet no step is permanent. Understand this, and you understand life." A soft breeze carried the scent of wildflowers. Mingling with the earthy aroma of the forest, the Buddha inhaled deeply, as if savoring the moment. "Walking," he said, "is not separate from meditation. It is a meditation in motion, a reminder of life's transient nature." A squirrel darted across the path, drawing the disciples' attention for a brief moment. The Buddha observed them with a quiet smile. "Even distractions," he said, "are part of the journey. Notice them, but do not linger. Return to your steps." The path sloped upward, leading to a hilltop that overlooked the forest. The group ascended slowly, their breaths deep and measured. The Buddha paused at the summit, gazing out at the vast expanse below. "Look at the horizon," he said. "It is endless, like the potential for liberation within each of you." Katyayana, standing beside the Buddha, asked, "Master, how can walking teach us about liberation?" The Buddha gestured to the winding path they had traveled. "Each step you take," he said, "is a step toward freedom. Liberation is not a destination. It is the journey itself." The disciples stood in silence, the weight of the Buddha's words settling over them like a gentle rain. The Buddha began to walk again, leading them down the hill and into a meadow. The grass was soft beneath their feet, and the air was alive with the hum of insects. "Walking through the meadow," the Buddha said, "is like moving through the ever-changing circumstances of life. Each step is an act of courage." The Buddha remained still, his presence calming. He finally said, "Let your love, like the moonlight, illuminate without seeking to bind. The earth supports your steps," he said, "just as it supports all life. Walking mindfully, you honor this interconnectedness. A butterfly flitted past, its wings a blur of color. The disciples watched, their hearts swelling with a quiet reverence. Notice the butterfly, the Buddha said. Its flight is like your thoughts. Sometimes erratic, sometimes graceful. Observe, but do not cling. The path led them to a stream, its water sparkling in the midday sun. The Buddha knelt by the stream, cupping the cool water in his hands. Walking, he said, is like this water. It flows, adapting to its surroundings, yet always moving forward. This is the way. The disciples took turns drinking from the stream. Their thirst quenched, their spirits lifted. The Buddha rose, his movements as fluid as the water itself. Let us continue, he said, for the journey is not yet complete. They walked along the stream, the sound of the water mingling with the rhythm of their steps. One day, while traveling through the villages, I met a farmer named Danu, whose crops had withered under relentless drought. He approached me, his despair etched deeply into his face, pleading, "Master, why does life punish the honest laborer?" I asked him to accompany me to the edge of the field, where we gazed at the parched soil. Walking mindfully, you learn to embrace change with grace. The path grew narrower, flanked by tall reeds that swayed gently in the breeze. The disciples navigated the trail with care, their senses attuned to their surroundings. Each step, the Buddha said, is an opportunity to let go of attachment and aversion. Exactly, Sujata. Let your love be like the lotus, free from attachment yet full of compassion. The path opened into a clearing where the forest gave way to open sky. The disciples stood in awe, their faces illuminated by the golden light of the setting sun. The Buddha turned to face them, his expression serene. This, he said, is the culmination of walking mindfully. You arrive not at a place, but at a state of being. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude and understanding. The Buddha looked at each of them, his eyes shining with compassion. Remember, he said, that walking is not just a physical act. It is a practice of awakening, a journey toward liberation. The disciples remained in the clearing, their minds quiet, their hearts open. Malini nodded, her hands folding as though in prayer, seeking to internalize the wisdom entrusted to her. The Buddha continued with another tale to illuminate his teaching further. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the group began to walk again, their steps mindful, their spirits light. The Buddha led them back into the forest, his presence a beacon of wisdom and peace. The path before them was long, but they walked with confidence, guided by the teachings of their master. Another day, another dawn, and the disciples found themselves in the embrace of nature once again. The morning carried a refreshing chill, as dew clung to the leaves and grass. The sun had just begun to rise, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson. The Buddha stood among his disciples, his presence calm and grounding. Today, he said, we shall walk through the rhythm of life itself. The disciples rose, their robes whispering against the soft breeze that carried the scent of wild jasmine. They began their walk, their steps aligning with the rhythm of their breath. The Buddha led the way, his movements fluid, like a melody unfolding in perfect harmony. Life, the Buddha said, is rhythm. To understand life, you must first attune yourself to its cadence. The path led them through a meadow alive with color, where flowers swayed gently in the wind. Breathe deeply, the Buddha said, his voice steady and soothing. Let your breath guide your steps, and your steps guide your mind. The disciples followed his instructions, their breaths deep and deliberate, merging seamlessly with their movement. A sense of quiet tranquility enveloped the group. Walking is not merely moving from one place to another, the Buddha said, his tone firm but kind. It is a dance with the present moment, a communion with life. He pointed to the soil beneath them, Mix these shards with soil, and they will strengthen it for future growth. Listen, he said, his eyes closing briefly as if savoring the symphony of nature. Even the birds sing in rhythm, their songs harmonizing with the heartbeat of existence. The disciples stood still, their senses heightened, absorbing the wisdom in the world around them. The Buddha resumed walking, his pace deliberate and unchanging. When you walk with awareness, you begin to hear the rhythm of life clearly. It teaches you to move in harmony. The meadow gave way to a forest path, where the canopy of leaves created dappled shadows on the ground. The disciples stepped carefully, their footsteps muffled by the soft forest floor. Walking, the Buddha continued, reveals that life is a series of interconnected movements. Each step influences the next. Like a ripple, Ananda spoke, his voice filled with curiosity. Master, what happens when the rhythm of our steps falters? How do we find our way back? The Buddha paused, his gaze serene and unwavering. Ananda, he said, when the rhythm falters, return to your breath. The breath is the drumbeat of life, ever constant. Was my love misplaced? The Buddha looked at his father with profound compassion, his gaze soft yet steady like the still waters of a lake. Father, the Buddha said, love for your family is not misplaced, but when clouded by attachment, it becomes a source of suffering. The path led to a glade where sunlight poured in, illuminating the scene with ethereal brilliance. The Buddha turned to his disciples, his face radiant with compassion. In walking, as in life, he said, there will be moments of light and moments of shadow. Embrace both, for they are one. Does the gardener weep when the flowers wither and fade? The king replied, no, my son, for the gardener understands the nature of seasons and accepts the cycle of blooming and fading. Exactly, the Buddha said. Fear arises when you resist the shadows, he said. Walk through them with awareness, and they lose their power over you. The disciples absorbed his words, their hearts lighter, their steps imbued with a newfound courage. The Buddha gestured for them to continue, leading them deeper into the forest. The air grew cooler as they approached a stream, its gentle murmur adding to the symphony of their surroundings. The disciples paused to drink from the clear, cold water, their thirst quenched, their spirits refreshed. The Buddha knelt by the stream, his reflection shimmering on the surface. Walking is like the flow of this stream, he said. It is continuous, adapting to obstacles, yet always moving forward. The disciples listened intently, their eyes fixed on the Buddha as he rose with effortless grace. When you walk mindfully, he continued, you become like the stream, resilient, adaptable, and free. The group followed the stream, their steps synchronized with its gentle rhythm. Your teaching is clear, my son, yet it feels distant from the human heart, the Buddha responded. Father, the path of liberation is not easy, but it is attainable with mindfulness and understanding. There will be storms that disrupt the harmony, yet the rhythm endures. Sariputta spoke, his tone reflective. Master, how do we maintain the rhythm when the storms rage within us? The Buddha stopped and looked at Sariputta with a gaze full of understanding. The storms within you, he said, are like passing clouds. The rhythm is the sky, vast and unchanging. The disciples pondered his words, their minds quieted by the profundity of his metaphor. They resumed their journey, their footsteps light, their breaths steady. The path led them to an open field where the wind danced freely, rustling the grass and leaves. The Buddha spread his arms, as if embracing the vastness around them. The wind, he said, is like the rhythm of life, unseen, yet felt deeply. Walk with it, not against it. The disciples felt the wind against their skin, its touch both gentle and invigorating. They walked in silence, their movements harmonious, their minds attuned to the present. The sun reached its zenith, bathing the field in a warm, golden light. The Buddha paused, his expression serene. Walking mindfully, he said, reveals that you are not separate from the rhythm of life. You are its heartbeat. The disciples felt a deep connection to the world around them, their hearts swelling with a quiet joy. As they continued, the path led them back into the forest, where the canopy offered a respite from the midday heat. The mother smiled softly, her eyes glistening with tears, as she cradled her child closer, her fears replaced by quiet resolve. The Buddha continued his teaching with another tale, his voice weaving a narrative that captivated every heart present. Trust in the ground beneath you, in the rhythm that carries you forward. Katyayana spoke, his voice thoughtful. He pointed to the barren fields, their emptiness echoing the villagers' plight. Even this land, though barren now, holds the potential for renewal when nurtured with care and patience, he said. The rhythm never abandons you. The disciples walked on, their minds and hearts lighter, their trust in the journey renewed. The forest began to thin, revealing a serene lake that mirrored the sky's endless expanse. The Buddha stopped at the water's edge, his reflection merging with the stillness. Walking, he said, is not just a physical act. It is a way to align yourself with the rhythm of existence. The disciples stood beside him, their reflections rippling with the gentle movement of the lake. The Buddha turned to face them, his expression one of infinite kindness. Remember, he said, that rhythm is not something you create. It is something you discover, something you become. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude and understanding. The Buddha began to walk again, his steps unhurried, his presence a beacon of peace. The group followed, their movements deliberate, their breaths harmonious. The path before them was long, but they walked with confidence, guided by the rhythm of life itself. The Bodhi tree stood steadfast, its roots embracing the earth, its branches reaching skyward, a silent witness to wisdom. And as the stars emerged one by one, they seemed to affirm the truths spoken beneath the ancient tree, illuminating the night. Walking mindfully, he said, is a practice of returning to the rhythm, to the present, to the truth of who you are. The disciples felt the weight of his words, their steps imbued with purpose, their spirits uplifted. The journey continued, their hearts attuned to the teachings of their master. Another day, another journey began as the disciples gathered near the flowing river. The morning air hummed with quiet vitality. Sunlight glimmered off the rippling waters, casting fleeting patterns on the banks. The Buddha stood by the river, his gaze steady and contemplative. Today, he said, let us walk and learn from the river's wisdom. The disciples followed the Buddha, their steps aligned with the rhythm of nature surrounding them. Each footstep seemed to echo life's gentle cadence. Observe the river closely, the Buddha said. It flows without resistance, adapting to every twist and turn in its path. They walked alongside the river, its murmurs harmonizing with the sound of their breathing. The Buddha's voice carried through the stillness. Life, too, flows forward, he said. Though obstacles may arise, like stones in the river, the stream continues its journey unhindered. Ananda turned to the Buddha, his voice soft but inquisitive. Master, what does the river teach us about liberation? The Buddha paused by the water, kneeling to touch its surface. Liberation, he said, is movement. It is the freedom to grow, change, and move forward without clinging. The disciples walked on, their steps deliberate, their minds attuned to the present moment. The Buddha spoke again, his words resonating deeply. Like the river, walking meditation is liberation in motion. Each step releases attachment, bringing you closer to awakening. It must be experienced. The breath is the bridge that leads you there. Even the river slows, yet it never ceases to flow. The group came upon a bend where the river narrowed and flowed with greater urgency. Let each breath remind you of your true nature, he said. A nature that is vast, boundless, and free. Such is life when challenges arise. Subhuti spoke next, his expression one of contemplation. Master, how can we remain true to our path when turbulence shakes our resolve? The Buddha answered, his tone unwavering. Focus on the rhythm of your steps. The rhythm will guide you. Even amidst turmoil, the disciples resumed their walk, their movements harmonious despite the challenges of uneven ground. The river widened again, calming as it stretched toward the horizon. The Buddha gestured to the expanse before them. Look at the river, he said. Its destination is unknown, yet it moves with purpose. Walking is no different. The path veered away from the river, leading through a field where the grasses swayed in the wind. Each moment holds its own significance. He knelt by the bridge and placed his hand on one of its wooden planks. Katyayana stepped forward, his voice seeking understanding. Master, how do we walk when the path ahead is unclear? The Buddha turned to him, his gaze compassionate. Katyayana, he said, trust in each step you take. The path reveals itself as you move forward. Remember this day, he said. Every bridge you build, whether within yourself or with others, contributes to the harmony of existence. The Buddha stopped and turned to face his disciples. Walking mindfully, he said, is not about reaching a destination. Buddha began walking again, his footsteps steady and purposeful, embodying the lessons he had shared. His disciples followed, their minds and hearts enriched by his teachings, ready to build bridges and embrace the journey ahead. Ananda, he said, pause when needed, but remember, each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to awakening. The disciples reflected upon his words, their hearts buoyed by a sense of quiet determination. The Buddha resumed walking, his pace steady and deliberate. Walking, he said, is an act of faith in the present moment. It teaches you patience, resilience, and trust. The path opened to a clearing where the horizon stretched infinitely, bathed in the hues of dusk. The Buddha motioned for the disciples to stop. Look at the horizon, he said. It is limitless, like the potential for growth within each of you. Subhuti spoke again, his tone reverent. It is strength rooted in peace. His paradoxical wisdom left me suspended, caught between doubt and understanding. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude and understanding. The Buddha began to walk again, leading them back to the river. Its gentle murmur seemed to echo the wisdom shared throughout their journey. This river, the Buddha said, is a metaphor for life's continuity. Walking mindfully, you align yourself with its flow. They walked along the riverbanks until the stars appeared, their reflections shimmering on the water. The Buddha stopped, his gaze fixed on the celestial expanse. Walking, he said, is not just motion. It is connection with the earth, the sky, and the essence of existence. The disciples stood in silence, the night's serenity enveloping them. The Buddha turned to them, his expression serene. Remember, he said, that walking meditation is not merely steps upon the earth. It is liberation embodied, a journey toward truth. The disciples bowed once more, their spirits uplifted, their paths illuminated by the teachings of their master. The journey continued, their steps mindful, their hearts open to the rhythm of life itself. The Buddha led them onward, his presence a beacon of wisdom and peace. The path was long, but they walked with confidence, guided by the eternal flow of liberation. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.